Hello and welcome to this week's Wisdom Wednesday on the Alter Your Health podcast. I'm Dr. Susanna.
And I'm Dr. Ben.
And we're both naturopathic doctors who empower individuals to heal themselves and reverse disease through whole food, plant-based nutrition and mind-body medicine.
And today is a big day. We're talking about digestion and really the energetics of digestion, which from my perspective, the energetics of digestion are way more powerful and important and significant than the physiology, physical, material world aspects of digestion. And I think that we have really all experienced this. I know I actually experienced this morning. I didn't sleep that well last night, and I woke up with all sorts of cramps and bloating and just didn't feel good in my gut. And of course, that's all to say that physiologic stress, however we create it, either from lack of sleep or from anxious thinking, really does manifest as disrupted digestive processes. So we're going to be really doing our best to focus on the stomach specifically, because of course that's where we are in our journey from Alter Your Health from head to toe. But of course, when we're talking about the stomach, when we're talking about the energetics of digestion, everything tends to get grouped together in that third chakra, solar plexus region of our energetic and physical body.
It's true. It's all connected. But, when talking about the stomach and stomach issues, I find it so interesting that this really is one of the areas in the body where conventional practitioners and, of course, alternative practitioners alike really acknowledge the emotional connection between our emotional state, our stress levels, and our health of our stomach. You hear of people getting ulcers, and oftentimes it's like, oh, I just went through a stressful period and I got an ulcer. I created an ulcer.
This is probably the one time that a quote unquote, conventionally trained doctor will very reliably say, oh, have you been experiencing stress in your life? When people have those upper digestive issues, maybe not acid reflux. Acid reflux is like, oh, everyone's got acid reflux. Here's a proton pump inhibitor. But for sure with the manifestation of an ulcer, that's the classic stress. And of course, as the metaphor and energetics show us, it's kind of that inability to really digest and assimilate our life experience, and it gets stuck up here rather than being embodied and integrated and accepted and then transformed. And that's really what the cool thing is. The third chakra, from my perspective, is all about that transformational process of integrating our experience and then creating and manifesting our life's purpose. Really having that creative energy, which is coming from within, transforming and then creating. And of course, that's essentially what's happening in the physical material world, the transformation of food stuff, the breaking down of food stuff. And then, of course, we're absorbing and assimilating that food stuff to make our body, to recreate and restructure and regenerate our body, to heal our body. And also the creation of that cellular energy through the metabolic process. Those are the opportunities, to really look at how we can, digest our life experience. And to me, in a nutshell, as I think you said, it's like that acceptance, that digestion of our life experience really is just the acceptance and embracing of what's happening within us.
Beautiful. Yeah. So then when we think about stomach issues, the most common stomach issues that come up, like gastritis and heartburn and ulcers, we talked on Monday, just a little recap. We talked quite a bit about the brain body connection because that connection is so tight and so obvious and evident between our nervous system and our digestive health, right? When we are activating the sympathetic branch of the nervous system under a state of stress, we are shutting off the digestive system. We are literally decreasing the production of hydrochloric acid in the stomach, which we talked about can lead to hypochlorhydria, which then leads to acid reflux and heartburn. But we also talked about how acute stress or even prolonged stress can also affect the protective lining of our stomach, which can make the stomach more sensitive to the acid that is in the stomach, causing that discomfort and that acidy feeling that comes along with gastritis.
And then another little recap, the importance of our upper digestive system, that's our stomach, and what's going on up there. Because if we have hypochlorhydria or low stomach acid, if we have impaired stomach function, then that's really going to set the stage for lower digestive issues, such as SIBO or IBS or, bloating or gas or, constipation, diarrhea, bowel issues, etc. So digestion, of course, we also talked, not for too much of a recap, we also talked about how it starts in our head. Digestion starts in our head, and specifically with the experience of being grounded, being in that parasympathetic state of the autonomic nervous system. And that's how really one of the best things that we can do is, of course, ground ourselves before we sit down to eat a meal, feel gratitude. That's how, prayer and grace and a blessing before a meal can be so impactful for our not only spiritual health, but also our digestive health. So what else is there to talk about the energetics of the digestive process? I think just, maybe before we dive in a little bit more deeply, I think it's important to say that from my perspective, like when it comes to so many other parts of the body, we've talked about the heart and the lungs and all of these things. And of course, the energetics and emotional and spiritual nature of our being is so significant when it comes to all aspects of our body. But for whatever reason, it seems like it's a direct, immediate connection. Maybe just due to the strong impact of our autonomic nervous system on our digestive process. What I'm trying to say is stress and, energetic emotional issues really are at the root of chronic digestive issues 99.9% of the time, if not 100% of the time, so that's not to say that there's anything wrong with you if you experience these things. But so often people are operating and navigating in the physical world, in the material world, in the supplement world, in the pharmaceutical world, trying to fix something that has an energetic, emotional, spiritual cause. That's not to say, again, that we shouldn't or can't also alleviate our symptoms in the physical material world with, foods and supplements and all the things. But it's so empowering and helpful to look deeper. So I really hope that comes across clearly as once again, that opportunity to deepen into our ability to digest and assimilate our life in service to our digestive function and gut health.
Yeah, and just just to expand on that a little bit, sharing from what we see, in our practice and in our program, oftentimes people do experience great digestive improvements when they shift their lifestyle, they eat better, they eat more cleanly, right? But there are some situations where, people will come to us and say, hey, I've got this like acute burning in my stomach, or all of a sudden I'm like really gassy and bloated, and like for the last year I had perfect digestion. Like, what's going on? What happened to my microbiome? What happened to this and what happened to that? And yes, they tend to think in the physical realm, even though they're doing everything that they can in their power to really support their digestive health on a physical level. And it's so interesting because in all of these cases, that digestive little episode always passes in time. And it always passes when whatever kind of acute stress they've been going through comes to an end, or they've moved through it, or they've processed it, or whatever. And it's just so interesting to witness. And I understand, the habit of going into the physical, because I do it myself, even from the doctor side of things. Like,
Of
okay,
course.
is there anything different in your diet? Is there anything? Is it this? Is it that? But I think, yes, like what you're saying, it's like big picture. We all need that reminder to step back and really acknowledge that
Why not? If
99.9%.
not, I mean, I guess you could say 100%.
Yes,
Mm.
often chronic digestive issues and acute digestive issues are many times due to an energetic cause. So let's talk about some more of some more about this kind of energet, like what the stomach energetically represents for us. And you already talked
Yeah.
about it in the beginning, as it's really where we hold our nourishment. It's where we digest ideas. And so when we think of what some probable kind of emotional or energetic causes that can contribute to digestive issues, we think of issues of like inability to assimilate something new, like inability to digest new ideas,
Yeah.
or perhaps fear of the new, fear of taking something in.
Well, I
um,
think, I think that honestly, I think that you're getting a little too specific.
yes.
I think that generally speaking, it's easier to think about just inability to digest life,
Yeah.
inability to accept what's going on in and around us. And that, which again is like, well, it's funny because I'm just thinking about how, in naturopathic functional medicine, we talk about gut health as being kind of the center of all aspects of our health and well-being, how important the microbiome is, and, in terms of our physiology and balancing our immune system and our everything. It all comes down to gut health. And I guess, that kind of metaphor translates into the energetic body. It all comes down to that ability to uh, digest our human experience, to be in a place of presence and acceptance and trust of what's happening in and around us. And of course, the cool thing is that when we are in that state of presence, we have a little bit of distance, separation, perspective. We're not so immersed in the emotional nature of what's happening in us. We have some some space to see things. At least at some point we do. Given our human beingness, we very much do become immersed in our emotions, and that's healthy and normal and natural. But then we have insight, which creates this sense of space and separation where we can observe and gain perspective. And in doing so, there's always this opportunity to really integrate, to really stop resisting, stop pushing those experiences away, but really integrate, meaning that we can look deeper and consider with curiosity and open mindedness the opportunities to more deeply know ourselves. And in that space, we open up, we're naturally open to that flow of creativity, innate divine wisdom, whatever you want to call it, intuition, that not only brings peace and healing and integration to the emotional experiences, but that wisdom to know what to do with it, and that inspiration and motivation to do something with it. So yes, I think that the third chakra and that kind of energetic center of the solar plexus is at the center of our emotional well-being, our energetic spiritual well-being, just as gut health in our physical body and physiology is at the center to our human experience of health.
Well, as you were saying that, Dr. Ben, I was thinking about how the third chakra, it's also often really associated with like confidence and power and feeling self-esteem. And, relating this back to this idea that the stomach digests life and assimilates life, the way that I see it is that when we are fully digesting and assimilating life, aka we are fully in the trust, we are fully accepting what is in life, then we are able to express our full selves to the fullest potential. We are able to really shine most brightly from that center, from that core, from that third chakra, right? We're able to really stand in our power. And, if we're constantly kind of having this maldigestion with life,
that's what
we're starving ourselves of that precious energy.
I just had that visual, or that was connecting the metaphorical dots to that maldigestion, malabsorption of life. What happens when we're not able to digest and assimilate what's happening with us? Then we're not able to have that energy, have that creative energy to live, to show up, to express, to manifest. We're gonna also be experiencing potentially those emotional, energetic issues associated with that third chakra, solar plexus deficiency. So we want to correct our maldigestion in the spiritual, energetic, emotional world, which supports us, of course, in correcting any maldigestion in our physical body.
So I feel like when we get towards the end of these episodes, I always want to play like a little bit devil's advocate and kind of, push the conversation onto like a practical level. Like, okay, well then, so what do I do? Like,
totally.
How do I be more trusting? How do I be more accepting? What do I do with this information?
I don't think that's devil's advocate. That's just like rational, practical, which I appreciate you for bringing that up, because I think that a lot of us listening to this or having these conversations might be in that state of stuckness. And it's like, okay, I could listen. What do I do? Just listen to podcasts, read books, meditate.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what comes to mind for you, Dr. Susanna, in terms of action steps to clear or charge up, break through these blockages in our solar plexus?
I guess one thing that comes to mind for me, and especially connecting with that trust, that greater trust in the universe, is having a reference point, looking back at various points in our lives where we see, oh wow, like, that was really serendipitous, or that was really kind of magical when I met so-and-so, or when, I found out about this new something that inspired me to pursue a career or whatever. We all have those points in life where there was something that like showed up, right? It's not like we were out there searching for it. It just like it came to us as if, it's the universe supporting us and saying like, hey, like, here's something for you. And I don't know, I would just kind of invite everyone to kind of connect with a point in their life where I think it's easier to see in hindsight, in retrospect, like, wow, that was really a gift, versus when we're in it, we don't really, we like to kind of attribute what's happening to what we're doing and not necessarily what's provided for us in the universe.
That's a good point.
And it's so easy for us to forget that everything we're experiencing in this moment is for us right now, for a specific reason, for us to continue to grow and know who we are at that core level more and more and more. But looking in hindsight, I think it's so much easier, at least for me, to tap into the trust and really seeing like, wow, yeah, everything has happened for a very specific reason thus far in life. So why would I doubt that in this present moment right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's super cliche, or like obviously easier said than done. Like, oh, just keep calm and trust in the universe. And what I would say in terms of like and that's obviously really helpful to have those reference points and have those experiences. Oh yeah, like the universe does have my back, and just be in that place of remembering our place and purpose in the universe. And what I would add to that in terms of the practicality is, whenever we do have these uncomfortable emotions, whenever we're aware of our indigestion of life, our maldigestion of our life experience.
And I just want to say, I want to interject for a second that like indigestion of life, it might look like uncertainty. It might look like indecision. It might look like judgment. It might look like, criticism of ourselves or of others or whatever.
Yeah. So whenever we're aware of that indigestion of life, that resistant, what I would just say, what it feels like to me is my resistance to my emotional felt experience, like, however that shows up. So whenever we're in that space of indigestion or have that awareness of indigestion of life experience, that awareness is like huge. First of all, right? That awareness is huge. It's like, back to the physical body. It's like, okay, we're having, I don't know, we're experiencing a stomach ache and you realize like, oh yeah, my stomach ache is because I just drank polluted water and I've got this poison in me. So understanding like what's at the cause of our disturbance is so huge. That's like the biggest step, if you will, in alleviating things, because of course, when it comes to our physical health, it's all about just identifying and removing obstacles. And then of course, so the practical things that we can do in our energetic, spiritual, emotional dimension is understand, identify, and remove those obstacles, and seeing how that that indigestion of fear, that resistance to self-worth, that whatever that emotion or feeling is that we're resisting, it's like just seeing that and seeing the silliness, and seeing, but also in that same moment, seeing the humanness, naturally brings the remedy, naturally brings the medicine of compassion, of awareness, and then it's gone, and then our indigestion is gone. Just like, in back to the physical world, we ground ourselves, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and in an instant, we optimize our digestive processes. We allow our pancreas to secrete digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid to be produced in the stomach. In that same instant, we allow ourselves to be free from all of that heaviness of self-judgment that maybe we have been, packing along with us for too long.
Yeah, so to kind of
it's not very much.
Abbreviate what you just said.
Yeah,
or recap what you just said.
In the more practical terms, it's like just having that self-awareness.
Having the self-awareness of our emotional state and being compassionate with ourselves as we're feeling it is the medicine.
Yeah, it's like, I think that maybe a lot of people, and I know me at times for sure, it's like, okay, I have that self-awareness, but then I meet the self-awareness with like judgment. It's like, I'm aware that I'm feeling this, and gosh dang it, why are you feeling this? So it's like self-awareness, yeah, powerful. And then self-awareness with like, oh, that's okay. You're a human being, having this crazy experience. And then you can be integrated with that and feel that and digest that. Exactly. Yeah, it's like, in essence, it's like food hygiene for our soul, right?
You know what I
So
just thought about is like with this reflux, because we've been talking about reflux as one of the most common stomach issues. It's almost like we're constantly walking around as human beings refluxing our emotions. It's like,
yeah.
ooh, I feel anxiety. I don't like that. And it's like, get out
Mhm.
of me, right? Versus digesting it and assimilating it.
Yeah, yes,
So many metaphors.
totally. So yeah, I was just thinking, and the other metaphor I was thinking of was, we talk about food hygiene, sitting down, removing stimuli, turning off your phone, removing screens, saying a blessing, taking a breath, eating slowly, chewing your food, all of these things that, again, we do in the physical world to optimize digestive process. And it's like, what can we bring to our energetic, emotional world to digest our human experience and integrate it? And the cool thing is that we don't need to do much. It's just, again, that self-awareness and compassion. But whatever steps, whatever action steps, tangible things that you can do to symbolize that, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Great. All right. Well, I loved covering this topic with you today, Dr. Ben. We'll be back next week for another Wisdom Wednesday. I guess we'll be moving on down the digestive tract, talking about intestinal health, most likely.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. And until then, if you're looking for more support, if you're looking for wanting to, you really want to optimize your health with some guidance so that you can get to your health goals as soon as possible, go over to our website, www.alter.health, and check out our services, how we work with people. But we look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast.
All right, guys. Peace and love.